Stress is often discussed as an emotional experience. People describe feeling overwhelmed, mentally fatigued, or under pressure. At the same time, stress is also a biological process. The body responds to stress through a coordinated hormonal system designed to help manage challenge and uncertainty. What many people overlook is that this same system can influence testosterone and long-term hormonal balance. In this discussion, attention will be given to how stress affects the body, how cortisol interacts with testosterone, and why prolonged stress can gradually influence energy, recovery, and vitality over time. Let us begin by considering the role of cortisol. Cortisol is commonly referred to as the stress hormone. Its purpose is not inherently negative. Cortisol helps mobilize energy, regulate alertness, and prepare the body to respond to demand. In short-term situations, this response is useful. It allows the body to adapt quickly when pressure increases. From that perspective, stress itself is not always harmful. The problem often emerges when stress becomes continuous. At that point, the body shifts from temporary adaptation into prolonged physiological strain. This changes how hormonal systems interact. Now, testosterone and cortisol are not direct opposites, but they do influence one another. Testosterone is associated with recovery, growth, and anabolic processes. Cortisol is more closely associated with mobilization and survival-oriented responses. When stress remains elevated for extended periods, cortisol signaling may remain persistently high. Over time, this can suppress processes related to recovery and hormonal optimization. This is often overlooked because the effects tend to develop gradually. A different pattern begins to appear, energy levels may decline, recovery from exercise may feel slower, motivation may fluctuate, sleep quality may become less stable. These changes are frequently attributed only to age or workload. However, chronic stress may be contributing beneath the surface. Now, stress does not only come from emotional pressure. The body interprets many experiences as stressors. Sleep deprivation can increase physiological stress. Excessive training without recovery can increase stress load. Poor nutrition, chronic inflammation, and prolonged mental tension can all contribute to the same system remaining activated. This helps explain why hormonal health cannot be viewed in isolation. The body responds to accumulated load rather than isolated events. With that in mind, it becomes easier to understand why some men continue exercising, eating well, or taking supplements, yet still experience reduced vitality. If recovery systems remain overwhelmed, the hormonal environment may struggle to stabilize. Now, it is also important to distinguish between productive stress and chronic stress. Short periods of challenge can stimulate adaptation. Exercise itself is a controlled stressor. Learning, competition, and demanding work can also create growth when balanced appropriately. The issue is not the existence of stress. The issue is insufficient recovery. When recovery becomes inadequate relative to demand, strain accumulates. Over time, this begins to influence hormonal coordination. This is where the focus shifts. Rather than attempting to eliminate all stress, the goal becomes improving the body's ability to regulate and recover from it. This creates a calmer and more sustainable perspective. Recovery is not weakness. Rest is not laziness. There are regulatory processes that support physiological balance. Let this sit for a moment. Many men are conditioned to value output continuously while underestimating recovery. Yet recovery is where adaptation occurs. Without recovery, stress remains unresolved within the system. Now, cortisol itself follows natural rhythms. Levels are typically higher earlier in the day and lower later in the evening. This rhythm supports wakefulness and sleep timing. However, prolonged stress can disrupt this pattern. At that stage, sleep quality may decline further, which then affects testosterone regulation, as discussed previously. This creates a feedback loop. Stress affects sleep, poor sleep affects hormonal regulation, reduced recovery increases physiological strain. Over time, the system becomes less resilient. This holds more weight than it appears. Many hormonal changes do not emerge from one isolated cause. They develop through repeated interaction between multiple systems over time. In view of this, supporting hormonal health involves more than targeting testosterone directly. It involves supporting the broader systems that regulate recovery, resilience, and adaptation. This may include consistent sleep patterns, balanced training, adequate recovery, stress management practices, and periods of intentional rest. These approaches are not dramatic. At the same time, they are often foundational. Small, repeatable recovery habits influence the body more consistently than occasional extreme interventions. This leads back to the broader principle. Hormonal vitality reflects system stability. When stress becomes chronic and recovery becomes inconsistent, hormonal coordination is affected. When recovery improves, the internal environment becomes more supportive of balance and resilience. In future discussions, we will explore how body composition, movement patterns, and recovery systems continue to influence men's hormonal health over time.